Here's something remarkable about tea. A fresh, grassy Japanese sencha, a rich, malty Assam, a floral Taiwanese Oolong, a delicate white tea, and a complex Darjeeling can all come from essentially the same plant, Camellia sinensis. And yet put those teas side by side, and they may taste almost nothing alike. One might remind you of fresh-cut grass, another of honey, another of flowers, stone fruit, roasted nuts, malt, or even something savory. So how does one plant produce such an extraordinary range of flavors? The answer takes us from mountains and soil to weather, harvest seasons, tea cultivars, and ultimately to the hands of the people who make the tea. Welcome back to TeaMinded. I'm glad you're here. Today we're exploring why every tea tastes different. And once you understand some of the reasons, you may never experience a cup of tea quite the same way again. Let's begin with the plant itself. Most traditional teas come from Camellia sinensis. Green tea, black tea, white tea, oolong, pu'er, and other traditional tea styles. This surprises some people. It's easy to assume that green tea comes from one kind of plant, black tea from another, and oolong from something else entirely. But that's generally not the case. The differences come from a fascinating combination of nature and human craftsmanship. And one of the first variables is simply where the tea grows. Tea is cultivated in many parts of the world: China, Japan, India, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, Nepal, Kenya, and many other regions. Each place has its own climate, its own soil, rainfall, elevation, sunlight, temperature, and seasonal patterns. All of these things can influence the leaves growing on the tea plant. Tea people sometimes describe this using a word you may have heard in the world of wine: terroir. Terroir is essentially the idea that the environment where an agricultural product is grown can influence its character. The soil, climate, elevation, rain, sun, even the surrounding landscape. Wine drinkers understand this instinctively. A Pinot Noir grown in California won't necessarily taste exactly like one grown in Burgundy. The grape may be similar, but the place is different. Tea works in much the same way. A tea grown high in the mountains may develop differently from tea grown closer to sea level. Cooler temperatures can slow growth. Mist may reduce direct sunlight. Rainfall can change from one region to another. All of those variables influence the plant, and eventually, they influence the cup. This is why tea isn't simply a product. Tea can also be an expression of place. Darjeeling is a wonderful example. Tea grown in the Darjeeling region of India is famous for characteristics that can be difficult to reproduce elsewhere. Some Darjeeling teas are floral, others fruity. Some develop the distinctive character often described as muscatel. Move to Assam in northeastern India, and the experience can be entirely different. Assam teas are often richer, stronger, maltier. Same tea species, different place, different result. But geography is only the beginning. Another important factor is the cultivar. Think of cultivars as different cultivated varieties of the tea plant. Just as there are many varieties of apples, Honeycrisp, Granny Smith, Fuji, Gala, there are many tea cultivars, and each can have slightly different characteristics. Some may produce particular aromas. Some may tolerate colder climates. Others may be prized for sweetness, umami, floral qualities, or the way they respond to a particular style of processing. Japanese tea provides a good example. Yabukita is one of the most widely grown cultivars in Japan. But explore Japanese tea more deeply, and you'll encounter cultivars such as Seimidori, Okumidori, Asatsuyu, and many others. Taste them side by side, and the differences can be fascinating. Some are sweeter, some more vegetal, some richer in umami, some more aromatic. Suddenly, the idea of simply saying, "I like green tea," begins to feel a little like saying, "I like fruit." There's an entire world inside the category. Then there's the harvest. When tea leaves are picked can dramatically influence how they taste. In many tea-growing regions, tea is harvested multiple times throughout the year. Those harvests may be called flushes, and the same tea garden can produce noticeably different teas depending on when the leaves were picked. Darjeeling again provides a wonderful example. First flush Darjeeling is harvested early in the growing season. These teas can be fresh, light, floral, almost delicate. Second flush arrives later, and those teas often become fuller, fruitier, and sometimes develop that famous muscatel character. Same region, sometimes the same garden, potentially even the same plants. Different season, different tea. And weather can make individual years different as well. Rain arrives earlier, temperatures change, sunlight varies, growing conditions shift. Tea is agriculture, and agriculture is never completely predictable. This is one reason specialty tea can be so interesting. You're drinking something connected to a particular place during a particular season in a particular year. But even after the leaves are harvested, the story is far from finished, because now human craftsmanship becomes enormously important. Tea leaves don't simply become green tea or black tea on their own. People make decisions. They wither the leaves, roll them, bruise them, steam them, pan-fire them, oxidize them, roast them, dry them. Different teas require different processes, and small decisions during processing can have significant effects on flavor. Consider green tea. One of the defining characteristics of green tea is that oxidation is limited relatively early in processing. But even within green tea, there are very different approaches. Many Japanese green teas are steamed. That can help create the fresh, vegetal, sometimes marine or umami-rich character associated with teas such as sencha. Many Chinese green teas are heated using other methods, including pan-firing. Those teas may develop flavors that seem more nutty, toasty, sweet, or chestnut-like. Both are green tea, but the craftsmanship takes them in different directions. Oolong takes this even further. Oolong tea exists across an enormous spectrum. Some oolongs are lightly oxidized and incredibly floral. Others are more heavily oxidized. Some are roasted, sometimes repeatedly. One oolong might remind you of orchids, another of peaches, another of honey, another of toasted nuts, another of stone or minerals after rain. The tea maker plays an enormous role in shaping those characteristics. This is something I think gets lost when we treat tea as simply another packaged beverage. Behind a good loose-leaf tea, there may be generations of accumulated knowledge. Knowing when to harvest, which leaves to pick, how long to wither them, how firmly to roll them, when to stop oxidation, how much heat to apply, how long to roast. Those decisions require experience and judgment. Tea is agricultural, but it's also craftsmanship. Then there is brewing, because even after the farmer grows the tea and the tea maker processes it, there's one more person who influences how it tastes: you. Water temperature matters. Steeping time matters. The amount of leaf matters. The water itself matters. The brewing vessel matters. Take the same tea and brew it with boiling water for 5 minutes. Then brew it again with cooler water for 90 seconds. And you may think you're drinking 2 different teas. One might be bitter, strong, astringent. The other might reveal sweetness, aroma, and subtle flavors you didn't notice before. This is why learning to brew tea is part of learning to taste tea. You aren't simply extracting flavor. You're influencing which flavors appear in the cup. And there's another factor that makes tea taste different: you. 2 people can drink exactly the same tea from the same pot at the same table and describe it differently. One person notices honey, another notices dried apricot, someone else notices flowers, and another person simply says, "That's really good tea." None of them is necessarily wrong. Taste is connected to memory, experience, culture, diet, sensitivity, and the flavors you've encountered throughout your life. This is why tasting notes shouldn't be treated like answers on a test. If the package says orchid, peach, and honey, and you don't taste orchid, you haven't failed. Taste what's actually in your cup. Maybe you notice sweetness, maybe something floral. Maybe the tea reminds you of a place you visited years ago. Maybe you can't describe it at all. That's fine. The point isn't to find the correct tasting note. The point is to notice. And I think this is where tea becomes especially interesting. When you're new to tea, you may think in broad categories: green tea, black tea, oolong. Then you start paying attention, and the categories begin opening up. Green tea becomes sencha, gyokuro, longjing, biluo chun. Black tea becomes Assam, Darjeeling, Kimun, Yunnan. Oolong becomes Taiwanese, Wu Yi Rock Tea, Dansang, High Mountain Taiwanese Oolong. And eventually you may begin noticing individual regions, cultivars, harvests, tea makers. The deeper you go, the larger the world becomes. That's one of the things I love about tea. You don't have to become an expert to appreciate any of this. You don't need to memorize cultivars. You don't need to study soil composition. You don't need to identify every aroma in the cup. You simply have to become curious. The next time you make tea, look at the package. Where was it grown? When was it harvested? Is the cultivar listed? How was it processed? Was it steamed, roasted, oxidized? Then brew it, and pay attention. Smell the dry leaves. Notice how they change after brewing. Smell the tea. Take a sip. Notice the texture, the sweetness, the bitterness, the finish. Then try another tea and compare. Eventually something interesting happens. Tea stops tasting simply like tea. You begin recognizing differences, and those differences tell a story about geography, climate, plants, seasons, craftsmanship, and people. Perhaps that's the real answer to why every tea tastes different. Because every tea has traveled a different path before reaching your cup. A particular plant, growing in a particular place, during a particular season, picked at a particular moment, processed by particular hands, then brewed by you. That's a remarkable amount of history inside something as ordinary as a cup of tea. And perhaps that's another lesson tea teaches us. The more closely you pay attention to ordinary things, the less ordinary they become. As TeaMinded continues, we'll keep exploring tea culture, craftsmanship, tea rituals, mindfulness, and intentional living through the lens of tea. But today, I hope this episode encourages you to try 2 teas side by side. Maybe 2 green teas, 2 black teas, 2 oolongs. Don't worry about finding the right words. Just notice the differences. Ask yourself, what's sweeter? What's more aromatic? What's lighter? What's richer? Which one do I want another cup of? That's where learning about tea really begins. Not with memorization, with attention. Thank you for listening to TeaMinded. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the podcast on Spotify and share it with someone who loves tea, craftsmanship, food, wine, coffee, or simply discovering why the things we consume taste the way they do. And until next time, put the kettle on, notice what's in the cup, and stay tea-minded.